A special meeting of the NWPPRD Board of Commissioners called the session at 6 p.m. Roll call. Commissioner Larson will be absent. Mr. Craner present. Commissioner Guy.
Here.
Commissioner Whitmer. Here. Commissioner Hartman. Here. Accept the agenda. Do I have any motions for the?
Motion to buy my committees actually over to me.
A second. All in favor of revising the October 31st date to October 24th? Say aye.
Aye. It was inviting me.
Think on. Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
All in favor of approving the amended agenda, say aye. Aye. Moving on to pricing structure.
So for pricing structure, I looked at the items that program committee recommended and were approved in the June meeting. For definitions of services and the other options moving forward. And I went through the P&L as it exists. I included items in this number that I believe are necessary for operations to exist, because I think that was the spirit of that service definition. The total is almost 1.2 million if we were really to count all of that as fully funded, which exceeds the amount of the levy. That does not include items like the payroll taxes attributed to the positions that were included in that. It also does not include equipment for startup programs, which was something else that was discussed in that meeting, separating those from the program. It doesn't include anything for lifeguards, senior guards, head guards, anything of that nature. It does not include credit card processing fees. I kind of left that for discussion because opinions seem to vary person to person on whether that's a cost of doing business or whether it's something you pass on to your user. It does include the items listed in the definition of services, plus things like insurance, election services, office supplies. Again, those things just necessary for us to be able to operate and function. So that led me to this item categorization little booklet I gave you guys, and it really just has 3 columns: what you would like to be levy funded, user funded, what should be shared. Knowing those things will then help me be able to do sample pricing and sample program structure for what that looks like moving forward. So if you're able to hammer that out tonight by the regular board meeting, I should be able to have some sample pricing structures based on that information. Can you explain what's the formula? So the current formula for all programs across the board, we calculate the cost of staff, the cost of, so we have what we refer to as a lean hour charge or an administrative charge per hour of the program. And then we have any equipment and supplies get incorporated in. The way that we had been instructed to do it previously, we also added a 20% markup to that for everything across the board. And that became the number that we used to then determine the pricing for the programs. Since then, masters is one where we did not use the 20% markup, and I think we also took out that administrative fee. Now, I'll use masters as an example because I think it works well in this circumstance for just demonstrative purposes. If masters is using half of the pool and lap swim is using the other half of the pool, masters under the current structure would be charged for one lifeguard because we would have 2 lifeguards present, so they would bear the expense for half the lifeguard staffing, and then they would also be billed for 50% of the front desk person. And then they would be billed for their 3 lanes for their swim time.
Except the lane fee.
So currently the lane fee would be largely these items that I included in this in the 1.2 million number, which technically it's 1,191,130. So that's going to be the insurance, the utilities, the maintenance, basically anything that is not directly attributed to another program. And then the staffing is full separate, the lifeguards and swim instructors, things like that.
So coming back to the master swim portion, did we get clarification from the insurance whether under our insurance we would be required to have a lifeguard? Because under US Masters, a lifeguard is not required because of the insurance covered by US Masters.
They do not require us since state law doesn't require us.
So we wouldn't need an additional lifeguard.
We do a 2-person lifeguard because of the saves. So I know like the YMCA doesn't, so I think, well, some YMCA's do like a 1 guard during shift. We don't because American Red Cross saves required at least 2 people and we're American Cross certified.
So that goes for every program then. There, like, no matter what program's in the pool, there's always 2 lifeguards.
There should always be 2.
And 1 is usually on off-deck rotation. So they're still technically working unless they're clocked out for a lunch or doing an eating. If they're doing an eating meal, they're still clocked in, but can be called for a save. So they're still technically working. They're just what's called a scanning break.
Is the lane fee consistent between all the programs? Like, it's, so we've discussed kind of how much, or you've calculated how much insurance, like maintenance, all those things that you said before are incorporated in the lane fee. And then is that split up between like operating hours?
It is.
Okay.
It is. And currently we charge $17 an hour if somebody were to want to come in and rent a lane. That's what swim team pays. That's what a private individual would pay if they wanted to guarantee they're not going to need to share their lane. I did run a quick calculation before I went on vacation and I misplaced my exact note, but I believe that under our current budget, before any adjustments, that actual lane hour charge would be around $40 an hour with today's numbers. So there is a disparity there for sure.
You know why?
So it absolutely makes sense. Wages have gone up, costs of everything have increased over the last few years. That $17 a lane hour was part of a progression that was actually put in place when Executive Director McCaslin was on staff. And his plan had been to progress that up to a higher number. When the levy failed previously and we closed, in the reopening, there were promises made and agreements that they would not vastly increase immediately. So it has stayed at that number.
When he was still on the board and he recalculated it, I think at that time it was $24, but it was a decision of the board at that time and previous from the board that I got hired up until that point because the board changed them. That they weren't going to raise the per lane charge past $17 until the next levy. But then when Commissioner McCaslin was on the board, there was discussion about for any new programs, it should be calculated at $20 per hour And so that had been our practice with any new program from the time that, and I can't give you that exact date, but from the time that Commissioner Caslin gave us that direction, that we went that direction.
The 1.1 doesn't include salary.
It includes salaries for the executive director, business manager, maintenance director, recreation director, recreation coordinator, client services coordinator, and client services specialist, and then the custodial positions. So everyone but the actual rec program positions and lifeguards and swim instructors.
Those are kind of the operational, like the day-to-day.
Okay, so under that model, the $20, $24, are they not getting double charged for staff?
No,
Is-
it doesn't include lifeguards.
Staff is a separate bucket.
Okay, so if
So it's not part of the lane. Fee.
the lane fee, hypothetically $20 today, does not include,
Does not include lifeguards
like,
or from.
That's bucketed with the admin charge, correct?
Yes. But no, lifeguards and front desk and the current structure are not bucketed with the admin charge.
Is that a separate line item then when calculating program?
When we do the program worksheets, yes. Yes. So what's included in this 1.2 million is based on the services definition, things that would be necessary to open the doors to be accessible to any taxpayer walking. So that is a slight difference in this versus our current practice.
That's why they took that $20 admin fee that we went from 17 to 20. That's why they were adding it to every hour of recreation programming like if there was, say it's like a volleyball league and they have a practice in the game. So anything we staff, which are the games, that $20 was being added per hour in addition to the staffing cost. So we don't put rec staff into that lane fee, right? So you would see the admin fee plus the whatever site fee was needed to run those programs for the games.
It's all in my head. What do the taxpayers get from your?
Full chemicals, the utilities, the insurance, the
A portion.
a portion of that.
Seems like insurance is going on both sides.
Well, insurance, you have to remember, insurance too has raised by 25% since I started here. But that's what she's saying is you can change what is determined into that admin fee. That's just what the board chose before.
Admin fee, we're still talking about the 17 or 20 or 20.
Well, 24 was what Commissioner McCaslin had calculated it out to and said, we can't make that big of a jump to 24. So let's do it at 20. So it is 20.
I'm just clearing up that loan fee, admin fee, and $17 are the same thing.
Yes.
So with the definition of
Why don't you whiteboard it for them?
In the pricing structure. The lane fee and the admin fee are a portion, that $20 goes, a portion of it goes to the lane fee category, and then a portion of that 20 goes to the admin fee category.
it's one fee.
Yes. That's it. To take in your mind, admin / lane.
Okay,
Yeah,
For some reason, I was thinking that it was two separate fees because we're talking about it in separate ways. It's an admin fee when it's not to do, when it's a program that doesn't deal with the pool.
Yeah.
And it's a lane fee when it has to do with, like,
Right.
if it's a water program.
It's a lane fee when we charge it as a rental. So if you come in to rent lanes, we will charge you currently $17 an hour.
I would actually go the other way and do it as two different fees, because the lane fee would really cover more things than the admin fee.
Okay.
If you're charging a fee for a program, it's not,
I don't think.
Not in the
anybody
water.
worked anymore.
it's not in the water, then it would, in theory, have less expense.
Right, so we can have, I think that what we need to decide then is that an admin fee has to, like, is not water related, a lien fee. But that's what I meant by, I guess. So a lane fee when it has to do with pool, and then it's an admin fee when it has to do with other programming
Or the lane.
run by the district.
If that's what you're gonna move towards, I understand that, but just for clarification, the idea, and correct me if I'm wrong, at the time that we were discussing the admin/lane fee and adding it to rec programming, it was to help offset the cost of the pool as well. So it was being charged with all that inclusivity of all those other things to help offset that. I see where you're going though, that you're saying if we're gonna charge an admin fee, we're gonna take out the cost of the water, the cost of the chlorine for the water, the cost of the utility of heat. I understand that. I just wanted you to understand for clarification. That was the point of adding it to the recreation fee. Is that how you understood it?
yes, the way that,
Do that. In my opinion, I don't think we can do that. That's what the taxes are for, is to offset that.
the way that Commissioner McCaslin had structured it when he was the executive director was every expense of the district, except for things that were directly attributed to a program, were all calculated and then divided by our operating hours to determine the cost of a lane hour. When he was on the board as a commissioner and on the program committee, he wanted that fee to extend to recreation programming to continue to help offset district expenses as a whole. And I think I might have been the one that actually brought up, I don't think we should call it a lane fee for everything, because if my kid's playing basketball and you're charging me a lane fee, I'm going to, so the administrative fee was intended to continue to help offset that and be a more inclusive term for what it was actually covering.
There's one on the same page as you do, like now I'm like, what does the levy cover? Because you're
Yeah.
telling me that the levy covers.
You can offset one thing with another and still get a levy.
So if we go through this, items that you think should be 100% levy funded. And I kind of like the idea of starting at the back because that's where more of the general park stuff is.
Okay.
That's definitely something where we don't currently have a method of generating revenue out there. So I feel like those are maybe an easier place to start. Yeah.
Well, that could be offset by the baseball
Only
Okay.
one of them.
slightly.
So that would be
So it should be
shared.
shared.
We want to lay out kind of a proportion, like an ideal proportion, like 70% levy, 30%.
Well, if we're doing 1-to-1 right now, then
Is that what we're doing right now? I was just giving it an example.
actually, we only have one there most of the time.
Year round, we have one out there, and then during baseball season, which is February, March through August, we have a second one out there. And then for tournaments and any big event that they add additional one if they need that they pay for it.
If we do. For 4 months out of the year, they fund one, or they fund one 12 months out of the year, we fund it 4 months out of the year.
So I think it's more than 4 months because it starts in February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So we'll fund one for a full year, one for 7 months, and then if they need an additional one for those 7 months, they pay for it.
Okay, so we do the first two.
Is there an annual cost or do we pay a monthly cost?
We pay a monthly fee.
So that's, honestly, that's levy funded 100% now.
The second, yeah. Is that what you want us to check off?
If you guys are okay with it, I'll just go ahead and keep track of what we decide, since I'm the board secretary. What I'm doing, this is my method to the madness. If it's 100% levy funded, I'm just gonna put 100 here, and then if it's gonna be shared funding, I will put the user percentage in user funded, and the share, under the shared funding bucket will just be what percentage we would like to see levy funded. Does that drive well with? Okay, cool.
That's
I put 100% levy funded because that's what you said. So why are we jumping up there?
you can't, well, I guess that could possibly be kind of included in whatever fee we assign to the baseball. But is that all landscape maintenance, or is that just a Clover Valley?
This is just Clover Valley.
So that could potentially be part of the baseball.
What do we do for landscaping maintenance and line 182 that's not inclusive of repair and maintenance 178 and 179?
So 178 and 179, that would be things like the picnic ball, the picnic pavilion got built 1 year. The speed bumps got put in, the gate got put in. And so those are other big maintenance items that we do there. Once upon a time, so my first year, they put in a picnic pavilion that was apparently agreed upon before I got here. But after that, we started pulling the landscape maintenance out of there, but then we also started showing it as a separate cost, because up until that point, I don't think it had been broken down as a separate cost. But once upon a time, the board used to just say, okay, we're gonna give 10,000 for the dog park and 5,000, or it might be flipped, I can't remember which one it was now.
No, I think that's how it goes.
10,000 for the dog park and 5,000 for the baseball field, and then we did landscape on top of that. And so going into it, I was like, well, no, we're good. And then there's more to it. I'm trying not to get too much into that, but so you understand why. So then the baseball people just thought, oh, well, we have $15,000 to do with whatever we want to out there. We could do this, we could do that, we could do this. And the board at the time said, no, that's not what we're doing. That's not how this is gonna play out. And so at that point, I started just pulling out the maintenance cost of the landscaping. Did I give the history right to that? Because some of that started before I got here.
So Broadview, what services do we currently provide that gets a discount for being resident?
The Broadview, so the lap swim, the water aerobics, the volleyball, the open swims, anything that is in the pool is getting some sort of discount. I think the only, would be Masters. That's the only.
They're still getting a discount though. Because we actually removed the admin fee from their pricing
That's right.
to try and help get them going.
But that's not a discount to the user though, is it? That's just to make the budget work.
No, it means that we took that out of the cost of the class for them. So we don't charge them for it. Because if the thought at the time was the pool would be open or not, now we're filling it with people who are getting coaching. And so that's what they're actually paying for, is that coach. Those people were already coming at that time. It was just whether they were coming as a lap swimmer or they were coming and being coached by somebody. And so that was the thought among the program committee. They're already there. The only difference now is we have a coach coaching them.
Is there any user funding?
So currently for the pool, the district pays the city to do the pool. Cause they're already mowing, it takes them like 15 minutes if that to do it.
And out of all fields, that's part of it.
Yep. For this year. In the past, we paid a portion of it and they've done a portion of it. So we pay the portion of, I wanna say like when it's really raining out there, we're doing it every other week. They would like to see it done weekly, and so they pick up the weeks that we don't do it out there.
But that doesn't add any cost, right? Somebody just goes out there and does it.
Correct.
Okay.
Did I hear correctly that 178 and 179 more fit into like our improvements to the facility, not necessarily like the day-to-day?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, yeah,
I think those are 100% funded also.
now 174 water, that's split between the dog park and the baseball fields, because the baseball fields would come end of July, August, they're irrigating the baseball fields. But they're also using a lot of water at the dog park.
175 and 176 are also shared between the two.
Oh, yes.
We kind of skipped over 181, which is the special events programs. That one in the way back past has been if we did like a daddy-daughter dance or a mother-son date night or something. This year, it was budgeted this way for things like the military appreciation picnic. It's what we're using for the open house type events, those types of things. They're not things that we're charging an entry fee for. So I think, to me, those would be levy funded.
Would they all be levy funded?
Yeah.
Anything that would fit into that category?
I think moving forward, yes,
Yeah.
because if we're
You're not gonna
doing,
collect any revenue.
no, if we're doing a type of event that would collect revenue, I think we would find somewhere else in the budget to put it.
So with that, under special events and programs, what quantifies that? Because we have, like you said, the military appreciation, but then the chamber luncheon went under advertising.
Advertising.
So what kind of standard can we set in place for what goes where?
I would think that anything that goes through the chamber is advertising. Because that's what we're paying chamber to do, is help us get the word out about what we do and what we are. Where a special event is just about making sure people realize we're there to offer things that are to give a full well-rounded park and rec department, right? It's the only thing that we do for military families besides the MWR, but they pay fully for the MWR privilege. So it just puts a presence there for a very large event.
I think it's also so things that are more community education oriented, like the National Night Out, for example. We can't promote our programs there, but we still have an expense to go there and participate and give safety education.
That's their requirement that we can't promote our events.
I would probably work on changing that in future budgets to not have our programs included, because really it does not have a program related component, the way that we're currently using it.
Although I was trying to figure out how to get Caitlin Clark there for basketball.
We ain't
You don't
got,
have that money. You don't have the feeling for money.
you're gonna need Nike money for that.
She's still young enough to have heart.
No, you're ingenious. We should come strolling in, I don't know who did it.
I'm trying to get a girls' league for basketball.
So
Put it all 100%.
I don't think so. I think we're gonna have to split that a little bit. Because we need to associate some fees with the baseball league. They're probably creating a good chunk of that garbage.
Okay.
They're gonna be using the fields that are irrigated. And dump fees,
Actually, the majority of the garbage at the Clover Valley Park comes from poop.
even during the season.
Yeah, because they typically will get their own extra trash cans out. They have very few big special events. I want to say, I think they had 2 this year. And then the most of their trash is like, it's bringing a snack to their program of 12 kids at a time. So the majority of the dump comes from people dumping in our dumpster. And there was the conversation about removing the dumpster and removing the porta potty. And I don't think that is a wise decision, because if you've seen any parks without dumpsters and porta potties, it doesn't stop them from dumping trash or using the bathroom, using the park to go to the bathroom. The only difference is now there's not a good, easy way to remove it.
So do we warrant the dumpster? I mean, do we use enough trash or do our patrons use enough trash?
With the dumpster is well used.
What's the difference between a dump fee and a garbage fee?
So the dump fee is like if you take things to the dump,
Okay,
that's the distinction we make.
how many times do we do that? Yeah.
When Jay gets tired of it looking like, maybe 3 times a year.
Okay.
We
Is
used to
there a
do,
reason? Is it like, do you see?
Well,
specific
so-
reasons that?
like when we did, the only year we didn't do the volunteer appreciation year, or not the volunteer appreciation, the volunteer cleanup day at Clover Valley Park was this year. That was one day that we had a lot of dump fees because pulling things out of the woods and stuff would cost to the dump.
Yeah.
But then, like, last week I had the maintenance staff pull out extra stuff that we can no longer use, that we were keeping, like old doors. You can't reuse them anymore. They should have been gotten rid of a long time ago. Somebody took them far away and now it's eating up valuable storage space. So they went to I think they went down to Freeland to scrap the doors, but then stuff at the dump, stuff like that. So what, 3 times, 4 times
Well,
a year?
that's a different line though, because there are 2 dump fees on here. I think for Clover Valley, it's maybe spring and fall, and there might be multiple trips on each depending on what they're getting rid of. Or throughout the year, I mean,
The 3 or 4 times a year.
yes, if somebody dumps off a couch, then they might have to make an extra run to get rid of the couch.
Yeah, there was 2 years there that we were getting rid of RVs that were dumped there.
We don't have that.
So then the dump fee would be like $2,200.
Yeah.
This is based on weight.
Either way, that's gonna be.
But then,
10% levy.
yeah, levy budget, so,
Um,
and so I think that maybe we split garbage and water then with baseball.
Yeah, based on what you're saying, if they're not really producing that much garbage and we're dog park be more of the legitimate garbage. We use behind kind of thing. My thoughts.
I would agree with that.
I'm still on the why don't we get rid of the dumpster thing, because if they're gonna dump it anyways, and we're gonna have to put it on the dump fee.
Well, then we're paying an hourly staff person to go out and clean up the poop, where right now we have dog waste stations
I'm
in.
not saying get rid of the trash receptacle, I'm saying dumpster. And shrink down the amount of garbage that we're taking.
So the dumpster has a hole in it where after they pick up the dog poop, they litter, and we keep it locked down, so it only has that hole. So the idea is that they, take their dog waste and they throw it in the dumpster themselves, because when we put trash receptacles inside, it was too heavy for our maintenance staff to actually lift.
Okay, I was really picturing in my mind an open dumpster with a couch sticking out of it. Yeah, you can bring it once a week.
Wow.
No, they put it on top of it.
Yeah. Do they, is there a way then, well, I guess for staff time to make it, never mind, this is stupid. We're just we'll keep it, the waste receptacles the way they are, and then ideally promote that folks just put their straight in the dumpster.
Quick math shows that for a staff member to spend 2 hours twice a month on it would be about $94. That's before, before vehicle expenses and the actual fee for dumping it at the dump. And I think we're around $130 a month for the trash pickup, so.
It's open to the public. It's not completely locked down.
Right.
The baseball club does benefit primarily from it, but it isn't.
Okay. Yeah,
I'd like
I
to keep
agree,
them.
I wanna keep, yeah. Yeah,
No, that's fine.
okay, 90 10.
Please argue with me if you don't think I'm right.
Well, I think a good thing to consider would be what is our overall plan of making this decision? Because if we just go line by line, kind of with tunnel vision, we might sink ourselves into a hole.
I think we're gonna sink ourselves into a hole either way, and then we're gonna have to figure our way out of it. Because right now, we don't know what is being paid where and how much we should be charging for a lane fee or an admin fee. The baseball league is looking to sign a contract with us, and we don't know how much to charge them.
Yeah.
Programs on the chopping block, and we don't know if they're making money or not. So we could take this as a macro look, but I don't think it's gonna be as effective. We could probably go a little faster and get through it.
Well, and I think too, it's a good exercise because like Britt and Jeannie have been through the list before where David and Melissa haven't. So it'll hopefully make the budget part a bit quicker.
And I think the main utilization of this is that you can go back and see if whatever levy funding we're gonna get will fit in,
Yes.
you know, and we'll be able to make it work next year. So I think that what you're saying should come after things, you know, after we know whether the levy's gonna cover what we think the levy should cover. Yeah.
And I think this is an important exercise because it gives staff really clear parameters on where the numbers are and what your expectations are. And I think one of the things that I heard repeatedly in the last levy cycle was, well, if people want the pool, they should pay for it. And while we want to give as much as we can to community members, I think that this can clearly help demonstrate to those people that have that opinion, hey, we are asking for this cost share. Hey, we are expecting people that use the facilities to make this contribution on top of their taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for where we're at right now. And I know this is a painful exercise and it is something that I think Jay and I begged for a long time, just so that we have really clear direction in what to do.
Right.
But to Commissioner Guy's point, if we can broad stroke it a little bit in terms of, I mean, the key thing for me right now is to know what you guys see as being 100% taxpayer funded, because then that's what I have to take out of my other calculation. But however you guys want to do it, if you want to keep figuring out your percentages as we go. But that might make it a little quicker.
Small tools and equipment.
That's only something that we purchase if we need to. And so one of the things it was one year was a weed whacker.
Yeah, and this one is specific to Clover Valley. There's another one specific to the pool further up. Same thing with vehicle maintenance.
The point, why would we need two different ones? One asset is benefiting all of the districts.
When we do our state report, it has a specific line for pool related things and a separate line for general. purpose. So I think,
If it were that way, I'd be asking.
right, so no, so I think that's why, it slid out on this that way, because it's part of that document.
Anything that is an asset.
Vehicle maintenance, still expensive repair, I'm recommending 100% on those two. But routine maintenance, I think that we do associate some of the maintenance costs for lane fees, would we not do that for general park maintenance too? Oh, that's routine maintenance on the vehicle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, never
Yeah.
mind. Moving on.
Yeah, the different umbrellas here, yeah, it's kind of hard to zoom out and see the different umbrellas and all this part of it.
Well, and how they do it on method and Moss, like, it's better when it's actual government software, but the P and L makes it seem a little bit weird too, where she lines it up all here on the P and L, it literally shows out like this
Yeah,
and then like this. So then we manipulate it a little bit to try and make it a little easier.
And I did try to at least put spaces between the different groupings.
Yeah.
To make it a little easier.
165 and 166, the same.
I think one's on, and the others are.
Yeah, the 166 is a total, and I missed that one. I apologize. I tried to go through and take all those totals out to just avoid confusion. The water rec facility permit is the Island County Health Department permit required for us to operate.
It's yearly.
Yes.
So what would be intergovernmental other?
I think there's something that's ever put into there. I believe that the year we got the address for Clover Valley, the payment that we were supposed to have to pay for that had gone into that line. It's really, it sits there for things that don't fit into any other category.
The one. Well, I don't know about that one, but the water rec facility permit, I'm kind of leaning towards making that, applying that on the shared funding or potentially more weight on the user funding. Because kind of what you said a little while ago, like, if we're allowing people to use the pool, we're already charging them for that. It's not really a. That.
I think opposite. I think that it's a permit that we have to hold in order to stay operating, so that in my mind is something that should be levy funded.
You know, I wasn't part of that.
No.
Like, I'll give you that.
I just wanted to argue with you, David, like that's.
I just wanted to see a little bit more on the other side.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's gonna come with these programs and on the prior pages. I think it's gonna come later.
And the refunds, 151 through 163, those of course would all be user funded because that would just be a return on their payment.
There you go. See?
There you go.
But what about the intergovernmental?
Well, it's anything that we pay to do business. So we don't have a choice about the audit. We have to pay for the audit. We don't have a choice about election services. We have to pay for the election services.
Is that really $22,000 a year, or is that?
It depends on the election and how many people were running in it. That rec permit fee is around 800 every year. I think this year was the first year it was 816. But like the election services, that's all dependent on who. So even if nobody runs against you, we still get charged for that.
Right.
So, next year it will be more because we're putting something in the election and
How did refunds end up there?
It's
Be-
okay.
because we pay it out, we pay refunds out through, Island County. Correct?
Okay.
So we write our check requests, or in this case, they're called warrants. And we send them to Island County. Island County actually cuts the check and then we mail it out.
Oh,
So this 22,000 is not separate from.
No.
It is a accumulation of all the
Yeah.
things.
Total.
Yeah, I tried to delete all of those, but I apparently missed one.
That's okay. Yeah.
I just didn't realize it was page 2.
Yeah. So,
well,
So it's 146.
Yeah.
Through 160.
right, yeah. Okay, so,
Um,
so the audit has to be 100% levy funded, right? And then this clean water utility is probably,
charge clean water utility. We're taxpayer funded with the tax.
I tell my stepdad every year that he pays income taxes, that he just pays for my husband's salary, so it's the same concept. And then election services is obviously also 100% levy funded.
Unless you want me to start charging candidates.
Yeah. Yeah, please charge me to volunteer for you. Yes.
I was hoping you'd giggle.
Jamie paid us in that candy from Hawaii a while ago.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding, guys.
So then repair and maintenance, that's everything that comes out of Shane's department. The difference is now we're breaking it up into like capital, like what's attached to the building versus, and we're still not exactly as perfect with that as we wanna be. But, so any repairs that he's making, like from the littlest nuts and bolts to a pump will go in there. And that one, this
Only
one's
at-
pool, yeah, yes, I was just about to say pool specific.
They're funding on this one?
I think so.
For both,
I think it's the proportion now at this point, like, do we want it to be 80-20 or 90-10 or 75-25?
So, just a random question, if it's not a capital expense, wouldn't it be labor?
No, labor is in a different line item, so capital expense is usually something that's physically attached to a building for long term.
So like the slide.
Hmm?
The slide.
This like, yeah. The diving box, the,
windows, if we were to do windows.
Skylights.
it used to just say repair and maintenance, $300,000, that's what it used to just. And I started saying, no, we're gonna break it up, like.
So we're talking about $92,000, not a second, right?
102 between the two lines.
Yes, because I can, correct.
No, your brain, I was like, in my.
Either.
It's in, yeah, that's right. Either one of those numbers are there.
Yeah, yep.
102,000. hypothetical, $72,000 repair and maintenance would be, could be levy funded, and the capital expense could be something that's not shared, but donated to either, but
Yeah.
funded through,
Users?
All you're left with. I would argue opposite. I would say that capital gains should be levy funded, because that is like, hey, we're taking your tax dollars to do this, like prettification, right? Users are using the pool that we have to maintain. I think it's easier to justify a shared user cost with the repair and maintenance than it is for capital improvements.
Remember that the maintenance part of repair and maintenance are your chemicals, your air gas.
Those are different lines.
Well, Jay did say 300,000 and there's only
Chemical.
102,000 here.
Yeah, we really.
So, yeah, or 92, depending on who you ask. So I can see that.
I think,
chemicals
So
are
it's-
separate.
I think your point's valid though, because a capital improvement that any community member could come and benefit from being funded with levy dollars versus, you know, lap swimmer that was too ambitious when he went into the locker room and broke the toilet. Okay, that should be a shared expense.
Or like, are the kids pushing the button on the shower? That's,
The wear and tear of things being a shared expense, I think makes sense in my mind.
Because you're going and utilizing those things, whereas if you're trying to make improvements to the building, you're mainly doing, like, we are doing that for user benefit, maybe.
Or to help engage new users to come in.
That's what I was alluding to with user benefit.
So just forthinking, I guess, as we're going into the levy and we're doing these presentations on, look what your tax dollars pay for. If we completely
User fund anything, those wouldn't be big scale
Right.
points later.
Right. Which is another reason why I think that capital expenses should be 100% levy funded. And I think repair and maintenance, a good proportion would be 80-20 or 75-25. I'm really hesitant to say 50-50.
I would like,
Because I like 50-50.
which way are we going with 75?
75% levy funded, 25%.
My concern with that is, can we fund it with levy? Are we gonna run out of levy at some point?
we already have, maybe.
your biggest cost,
To your
You're right there.
your biggest cost is staffing.
So why don't we say 50-50?
You might put a note to come back to it.
Well, here's the question too, is how do you recruit it? How do you recruit repair and maintenance? How do you recruit that much? right?
Well, if you don't do it, you're gonna quickly not have users.
Right.
That wasn't the case though a few years ago.
Well, it's new and shiny. Yeah.
I would, only one person.
Yeah, I would like for us to agree on, the percentages. So if we need to table it, and come back to it at the end, then I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's gonna be a big number.
So if repair and maintenance other is not, it's not chemical, what else is it not?
So repair and maintenance is typically gonna be your nuts, bolts, screws. Oh, the door broke, I have to get, a new doorknob, I have to get a new lock. Have to get a new toilet,
So
the
would that
change,
be capital?
toilet seats typically I wouldn't put into capital, but the full toilet I might.
Okay.
That would be the kind of
That's the part of her job that goes insane in my mind.
it goes insane in my mind too, and I constantly am asking Shane, hey, where do you want me to put this? Hey, where should this go?
Yeah.
See, I think of
So
capital.
like the
as
door, like the door itself
improvements.
with the frame would go into capital, but the handle would, because the handles break quicker. The kick plate might not, because the locking mechanism might not, because those all break, or you have to replace the key or.
So in my opinion, the way when I hear capital, I think of like we're doing a renovation or an improvement to something. We're taking out the toilet, not because it stopped working, but because the new one's gonna be more water efficient, or we're doing a full renovation of the locker room. Those would be like capital projects in my opinion.
With a pre-plan.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
pre-planned.
Yeah.
Or we're adding the slide, or we're gonna repaint the building or something like that. It's not, we're fixing it because it's broke, we're fixing it to,
Yeah,
or we're upgrading it
yeah,
from something else.
yeah, which is why I said broken toilet, because in my mind, that would be repair and maintenance. Because if the toilet is broken and you have to replace the toilet because like the bulb is broken, I would lump that into repair and maintenance versus capital.
We're redoing all the plumbing and putting new toilets in.
Which is
So like when we put
another
in,
argument for why I would think that all capital improvements, all the, that capital bucket should be levy funded.
Circle back.
That's what we're having.
Okay. Utilities. I think that's in the same category,
So as far as boiler utility, what,
that is the gas bill to heat the pool water and everything deck side essentially. The spa boiler heats everything on the other side of the door. We have two separate boilers. The pool boiler heats everything on the pool side, so on the deck side, and then the spa boiler heats the hot tub and the locker rooms, the offices, the lobby,
oh,
the viewing room.
patron water is like showers.
that's a lot of bottles of water. And then I was like, oh, we have that.
Well, the pool water is what we fill from when we lose water through evaporation or turnover or whatnot. Look at how close those are.
Yeah,
Patron water, we require them to shower before they get in the pool, but the biggest expense is when they shower coming out of the pool.
because it takes longer.
So 139 garbage is essentially the dump fees, like you saw down in general parks. The pool water garbage is listed that way in 141 because that bill that comes from the city, ties our dumpster in with that fee.
Okay, so garbage here is like essentially the dump fee.
Yeah.
Do we want to just bucket utilities? It's 50/50? Like the whole, just everything?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Uh-uh. Well, I was rounding down then.
Okay. Communication.
That goes above.
Huh?
It's the travel total number for the one.
126 communication is kind of the heading for the group of things below it.
Yeah,
And then there's the total communication 133 that I did take the dollar amount out.
yeah.
But kind of in between there, or right after that one, there's travel and insurance that live in their own separate spaces.
Okay. So 133 is essentially a blank line.
Yes.
Travel with levy.
Travel could be anything, somebody going for a training, somebody going to pick up equipment. It's not typically going to be horribly program specific to attribute anywhere else.
I think that's one thing I agree.
Insurance covers everything. It's not just pool related, so it's recreation program. Although it didn't cost us more to do recreation programming, they just asked us how many volunteers. The big cost was the cyber crimes. That was the huge jump in our policy. And then the California wildfires, which doesn't make sense to me, but okay. So when I got here, I think my first year, our insurance payment was 95,000. And we were told last year that it wasn't gonna raise by 20%. He was right, it only raised by what, 19? He thought I budgeted way too much. Turns out I budgeted like $1,000 less than we needed, or more than we needed.
At 50/50 in my head.
Because part of our compliance to have it. And it is based in part on our total projected revenue, so it is influenced to an extent by the amount of programming we're doing. Bothering me.
Now communications.
How much are we mailing for 250?
Not very much.
What are we mailing?
Like 250 places in Dover for the man.
Literally.
No, and you'll see in our next agenda item, I have it down to increase that a little bit.
It's just like when we pay out, if a person wants the patron refund to get sent to them instead of picked up because they moved out of state, or it's literally just, I mean, because we don't ship anything.
Yeah.
So it's literally the postage, cost of a postage stamp. But like travel that's included will be like Julie going to pick up checks, and then as part of her route, because she's already there, she'll drop off the Heritage Bank payment for the credit cards, right? Because it's right there. Didn't have to go any further, and it saves postage. She, on the way back, she's passing Home Depot, she pulls in and pays the Home Depot credit card.
And that,
Wouldn't that be fuel expense?
No, because we pay her, based on a, mileage report. It would cost us more money for her to start from the pool where when she does it, she uses her own car and goes to Coopville from her house and then comes back, so we pay her mileage on it. So it's not broken down into fuel, it's broken down into car usage.
I think where I was heading with that is in the travel bucket, we have that, and then we also have, say you have to go to Tacoma for something. There should be, one time I'm gonna say this on this document, I think, hopefully, there should be some delineation, maybe.
Training versus like regular.
Yeah,
think there is. Isn't that what you were saying? Is that it?
Well, there's a training budget that covers like tuition of something. But we don't,
You don't delineate travel for training, vice travel or
For-
pool. Okay.
Normal information.
And I think it's worth noting that there has been $0 spent on travel this year. So,
I paid for the hotel myself for the award and I used the mileage from our.
Here you go, Jay.
Well, I appreciate that. There's a reason why these things are in the budget, and I feel like our staff should utilize that as well.
Sure.
Well, I think we could circle back to that part in like a different policy kind of meeting. If we want to delineate the different kinds of travel, then yeah, but I don't think that's the focus.
I'll make a note that when we're working on the 2025 budget details, to maybe try and separate those.
I don't know that it's decided yet whether you should or not.
No, I think it's still a good idea. It's better for me to put a placeholder
Yeah.
and take it out than
Yep.
to try it out it for you later. So.
Yep. But it is.
Virtual meeting used to be covered, was where we used to put the Zoom charge, but we don't do that anymore, so it goes into email business apps because it pays for Teams.
Gotcha.
I think we should just do it. So kind of off the wall, I was thinking, user funding for advertising and postage. Because both of those are gonna result and or be the result of revenue programs.
Okay. And then levy for everything else. Well,
Except for the email and business apps, because I was thinking like a split on the email and business apps. But yes, the internet and phone are levy. Those are my thoughts.
It's already written down, Nick. So if anybody
Well-
has
Okay, wait.
to change,
Just
I'm
press
just
that.
kidding.
That's what I wrote down.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you said it, not me.
Oh, for,
Oh my goodness.
for email business?
28. Our way of communicating, but it's also our way of outcomes.
Okay, wait, did we decide about 127?
Levy or user.
Julie, I'm happy to send you that. That would be-
And we're back to post. We decided we're changing.
I put 100% user. That's what David said.
I will,
Please start with me.
I mean, most of the,
The refund is user.
Directly related to user.
but it's also our standard utilities that,
But we're paying utility on there.
true.
50/50?
It's not even that much of money. We need to put some money in the
I
user
think
column.
user.
I hate to say it, but we need to put some money in the user column.
But I think you probably will when you put the swim lessons.
I know.
That's why I said I think it's coming.
I think that's why Julie had you started.
Just so we put everything in the levy column.
Julie, do you think that postage should go on the levy column?
I think I would, my thought would be that it would be shared, but
50/50.
It's $250.
Yeah,
50/50.
okay. No, they probably-
But for calculation purposes.
I think internet service should be shared.
I think internet and phone both would make sense to be shared.
I can see internet being shared. I can't see phone being shared. Does anybody use the phone?
What do you mean?
Like, do users come in and say, hey, can I use your phone?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a sign at the front desk that says phone here.
And
It's usually kids who don't have cell phones yet.
Or people with their parents, because their ride doesn't show up in music.
75/25 for both of us.
Internet's a big one because when you have so many people in the facility who are using our internet, because it's not related to business, right? They're using it to, while their kids on class or whatnot. And that forces us to have to buy more because of the speeds that are used.
Do you have two networks? Is there, I guess my question is there a way to delineate how much is user used versus business used?
We don't, I mean, we do have two different internets, but they're still used so there's one that's internal that only runs like our HVAC and stuff like that it's directly plugged into. And then there's the Wi-Fi that's open for everyone, but there's no way for us to delineate who it doesn't use it because staff need it to clock in and clock out.
Right.
We use it like in my office.
I wonder who is it Whidbey Telecom that provides the internet?
No, Comcast.
I wonder if there's a way for you to ask for a report. This is probably better for future use, something to think about now. Because if we can get a closed internal, like business use only, right, internet that only your staff are using to clock in and out, and you guys are using while working in the office, vice an open network that patrons use when they go in. If we can see kind of what that usage looks like, it'd be easier for us to decide what proportion users should be paying for, right? So if like we see that 60% of office use is patrons that come in, kids are in swim lessons and parents are scrolling Facebook, awesome.
So by saying that though, you're applying that cost to the swim lessons. By saying.
That it's bucketed into user use, that's part of that lane fee, if you will.
I was actually gonna argue that's a good part of how we provide customer service to the users.
Right. Well, and I agree with that. Like, I think it's nice that we offer that service, but you guys want to see more user funded. You guys, all of us, we need to see more user funded, or user shared costs. And I think the internet being $2,000 a year. And I think that we could eat that with a living, but
So maybe 25, 20, 75?
I'm just happy with 50-50, but I think at 25-75, yeah, 25 levy, 75 user,
For both internet and phone.
yeah. Well, I was thinking 50-50. 75, 25 for phone, because I still think the amount of people that come in and use the phone is probably minimal, right? And then,
Internet.
So it's kind of a wash.
yeah,
One.
it becomes 50-50 for the whole, like, for the umbrella.
Yeah. It's all play.
Yeah.
But I see what.
Cool. Is Comcast your phone provider as well?
Yeah, no, Nextiva, sorry, it's VoIP.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
And that's because we got the equipment for free.
I think because it's two separate providers, we need to delineate the differences. So I think 25, 75 internet, and then 75, 25 for phone. And just, only because we should be nitpicky. Okay.
That we'll see.
Two users.
I like.
They're the ones that benefit.
Yeah, they're the ones that benefit from it. Yeah, they're seeing the programs.
We put our levy minute, we put our meeting minutes on it.
That's for them.
90-10 minute.
I feel like legally we have to do it. So
We argue more over
We do
$250
have to-
than we do $45,000.
I'm okay with it.
I don't believe there's a legal requirement to have the website, and if we don't have the website, then there's not a legal requirement to post.
That's a good point.
So you could just do away with it.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
90-10.
All right, okay. 10%.
See, I get confused with you guys, like you'll say 90-10 and she'll go 10-90, and I'm like,
I'm sorry, I'll try to go in order.
Yeah,
That would be super.
yeah.
like, which one are we going?
90.
1090.
Training courses and tuition.
What's that different than,
Travel.
oh, yep. I was just wondering. We're just talking about this.
Unit.
Are users storing anything in our storage or storing it in our
It's all of like our things that have to be archived by the state requirement of us as a local government. That's the majority of what's in there.
So what kind of things?
All the past board minutes, for the most part, all the past receipts, all the past, there's some, there's some decorations, but
And there's some office furniture, there's some
yeah,
old
but we can get rid of the office furniture, we still need to have the storage unit, because we don't have any place to put it. There is some decoration, but we didn't really decorate, because I say that if we don't decorate for all the holidays, we don't decorate for any of them.
Yeah.
So we haven't pulled decorations out for a long time.
And go down.
So they could go into a, what's it called? A
Like they could be.
auction, they could be auctioned, but
Yeah.
you keep them too for special events. So like, well, we might not decorate for Halloween, maybe one day we have another haunted swamp. If Halloween falls on a Saturday,
Sounds like a levy.
And could we condense, could we digitize the records that we're keeping?
if we get to the point where we can write the grant to do it all, yes, there is a grant out there that allows us to do that, just we haven't been able to get there yet.
Is it stuff that needs to be archived or
Yes.
it's already, it's in its waiting period?
Some of it needs to be archived, some of it, I think at some point in the not too distant future, we will bring an updated retention policy to you guys that follows the state guidelines. That has not been updated by the district in a long time, and that would allow us to get rid of some of it. And then I think Commissioner Hartman mentioned going to a smaller unit. From my personal experience, storage unit shopping a few months ago, I think we would pay as much for a smaller unit at this point, the way those fees have gone up. And the one we have right now is temperature control.
Nice.
So that's helpful for electronic stuff that made it for there.
So are we locked into that price, your contract?
It has gone up. I think $20 a month in the 5 years we've had the unit. So it does periodically increase, but they haven't been huge increases.
For security system.
Original.
Oh.
I'm 50.
I was 100 because I thought that this is something that we had to have for
It's gonna-
our birthday.
we
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to have storage one way or another. Think we're negotiating now? It would be okay with 75.
Okay.
Sure, there's something that.
Off its block.
Maybe, possibly, potentially in the future, question mark.
Maybe the security system is levy
It's so we paid a company to come in and put basically like a sealant on top of the roof. It's like a fabric sealant. It's not like just
Not a chemical.
right. And so they come out and they check to make sure that it's in place and so that if that way the roof lasts for the 20 years that it's supposed to last. That way, if there's any problem that needs to be fixed, they take care of it from year to year.
So why did it not fall under regular?
Because the board wanted to see it broke out, because it was a new cost that came with, we did the roof replacement through a grant. And so at the time that we did that, there was no roof preventative maintenance. And so since the grant was from the state, the board just wanted to see it broken out so that we could prove that we paid it every year. So that the company couldn't come back and say, oh, you didn't do your levy maintenance, or you didn't do your yearly maintenance, your contract's void now.
Also, things
Would a
in
receipt
the,
do that?
Mhm.
Wouldn't a receipt do that?
it would, also things typically in the repair and maintenance are, material items that are purchased, for the repair and maintenance of the facility. This is a professional service. It's the same reason you'll see the HVAC listed under professional services and not just something to maintenance.
Okay. So, and that's the bucket we're under right now, professional services.
Yes.
While you say a receipt, gotta find a receipt.
I was gonna say, like, sometimes this also helps with, too, you know, how we get itemized like that. It's just a weird place for it to be, but I understand, like, it's part of that $300,000 bucket. Right?
Yeah.
Unless you think it should be on
Or do you want to come back to it after you sort out the repair and maintenance and have it match that?
POS should be at least a majority funded.
Thinking 100% user funded because it's been paying for all the programs that.
Yeah.
If everything was taxpayer funded, we wouldn't even need a POS system.
Okay.
I don't know about user. User.
Okay, going on. Payroll processing. You guys have.
Can we table that one until we do staff?
Yeah, I was just about, that was
And
gonna
do
be
it
my
the same
next question.
portion?
Yeah. Is because I was gonna try to understand why payroll processing wasn't lumped in with staff expenses,
But
but
see, if we,
Because,
It's a professional service and not a wage.
Julie, this software that you want, then we
It'll confuse you in a different way, but it will be helpful.
would save 11.
well, but then we don't have to, yeah, so. But I think that is to be discussed later, because I like that idea, as long as our business manager has the capacity. Different discussion.
The legal would be our lawyer and stuff.
Yes, sir. It's only our lawyer.
No, it's not and stuff. Not and stuff.
I was like, I don't even want to know what and stuff is.
Vacation.
And that benefits, well, benefits is the wrong word.
No, I think it's mostly utilized by the board.
Lovely.
Okay,
Am I wrong there?
No, I don't allow
Okay.
residents to.
So pool landscape and maintenance, you said the city does that?
For us, yeah.
Okay. Should we pass that?
Which, here's my question. This is, and I could have this question, but it keeps dawning on me when she's not right in front of me. Should that be switched to intergovernmental now?
Oh, maybe.
Let's confuse it more.
Sorry. I keep wanting to ask her and then.
It's okay, we know what it is now.
Yeah, when it dawns on me.
I will write a question.
So like the ARC classes and fees, that's when we bring in American Red Cross for us. And it's usually to train our lifeguards.
Or swim instructors. Or swim instructors.
So yeah. there's a lot of-
Well, so that's specifically related to pool related activities.
Yeah. Well, it could also be a CPR first aid or a babysitting course if we brought an instructor in for that. Those we typically only do when we have someone in-house that can offer it though. And in that case, it would just be the certification fee that we pay to the Red Cross would go into that bucket.
I'm leaning towards user funded on that piece. Or do you want to start at the bottom?
That's where I thought we were gonna start, but since
Well,
it's already
sure.
instruction time.
Well, it's because I feel like it will be less confusing to go to the heading and work your way down versus going backwards for you guys not to understand what the headings are.
You tell us now.
Thank yous. We're talking about monthly costs associated with having an account.
Yeah.
Which we would have anyway.
So
Would we have an account anyway?
it's our, what our, fees for cha-ching, credit cards.
That's a separate line.
Oh, that's right.
That is line 109.
That's user fees.
She's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry.
He's asking, you're not answering.
It's a bank fees, that's gonna be, the fee for having our, depository account.
Okay.
I think that's the primary one.
And the depository account.
We have to have.
It's when when we take payments in online and then they're deposited and then the county sweeps it out of that account into their accounts.
User funded.
Computer maintenance.
So that is the. Oh, let's say if a piece of computer breaks.
Or the internet goes down and we can't get it back, or the screens don't turn on.
It's not when Teams isn't working nicely.
That's a Microsoft.
That's why you have to look at the amount to know which one it was.
I'm leaning towards levy for both computer and copy machine maintenance. But I guess I'll just stay to one line at a time. I am leaning towards levy funding for computer maintenance, because I feel like that is board and business related.
Copy machine? Is that what you
Which are
said?
still on computer.
No, I'm still on computer.
Oh, gotcha.
I was gonna jump and lump them in both into the same like argument, but I decided against it.
Okay, what's this? I'm leaning towards 100% for copy maintenance.
Well,
Wait,
my
we're
question
voting on both.
for Julie is, do we offer copying services to any patrons that may come in?
We do not, but a good portion of that copy machine maintenance, which that really should probably be returned, goes for printing things like swim school report cards and advertising, marketing material. I would say maybe 25% of it gets used for internal purposes
Here we go.
For copy machine.
or copy machine.
I like it.
They are not.
Yeah, we tried to run from right.
Yeah.
Huh?
Do you think that 50/50 would be appropriate then for computer use? Or for the computer fee?
I need one user.
don't know, because like,
Yeah, that changed.
right, right,
That tracking.
no, we're on computer maintenance now, we just.
No, we were at 100 and now we're going.
Yeah, now we're going to user,
Well, these are the same arguments we just had for internet and email.
yeah. So I think maybe then 50/50 is a good kind of, yeah, because I think that if we didn't have computers for a business function, then it wouldn't operate very well. So I feel like,
What did you do for 128? And
A 50/50.
it should probably match.
so for email and business apps, yeah, 50/50.
Computer maintenance should be.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wouldn't the same theory apply to the copy machine?
I would think so. Sure. But it sounds to me like we get more benefit from the copy machine than the district does. Which is why I waited.
I don't know when we're testing it out again.
There's a reason I have a pencil.
So I think that's why we went with 25/75 too. And it's the same internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wait, which,
It's on paper now, because I wrote down 4 different numbers and I crossed them all out.
Yeah, well, copy machine maintenance is staying at 25/75.
right, credit card is all user. Is the membership?
Sounds to me like that should be user. Holy moly, $22,000 for credit card processing?
Mm-hmm.
Can we tack that on to when they use?
We're about to.
Yeah.
We're finished.
It is becoming more and more mainstream to pay that credit card fee usage.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you could figure that out to put it on the Civic Rec, couldn't you?
I believe so.
We'll
I
create our fee structure based with that in it.
wait, based on that, and that I think that is
charging
the
that
function.
extra.
Correct,
Yeah.
because while it is becoming more mainstream, I think it also makes the customer angry often
Yeah.
to be being dinged that additional fee.
Yeah, but they're, okay, but think of it this way though, by them using their credit card and us paying for it, we're helping them build their credit rating. By them being able to use their credit card.
Or you're helping them destroy their credit rating because they're taking their utilization rate too high, so that's a little bit too far into the, into their weeds, I think.
Right, but the credit card processing, other than making it an easy way for them to, doesn't really give us any more benefit. Like if they want to register for us, they're gonna find one way or another to do it.
Right, which is why that cost being passed to the user makes the most sense.
Right.
Because why they're saying, yeah.
No, I was just agreeing with you, because
Yeah.
it's another argument to say,
But yeah, and we're not, you're telling the user here that we're charging those, that we're extending those charges to them, but we're not like saying, hey, it's a 3.5% charge additional.
And
you
I
pay
think
the
you
credit
do
card.
have to make them aware.
you do have to make it aware if you're adding it on. So if it's $100 and you're gonna add that 3.5%, you
Yeah.
have to tell them, hey, your total is gonna be 103.
So we're not adding because we're like,
But
we're.
if we,
You're saying, don't put it on there, just build it into the cost, and
Yeah.
then they get checked.
Yeah,
out.
and it's part of the pay structure.
The
Yeah,
the
it's
credit
the-
card processing is 100% in the user column.
Mhm. And then whether they pay cash or credit, it's built into the overall price.
Yeah, so essentially.
So we're not gonna do what they do at the country store and give them a discount for using cash.
Mhm.
Now, as far as the,
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, but we're also not gonna be like, hey, you're using a credit card, so we're adding 3.5%. Like, I think that we're kind of evening that out for all of the constituents.
now that said, that 21,000 number, is very large, and I do have a couple of, sources to get quotes for potentially changing who we do our processing through. in the future that I believe would save us some money on that.
Who is it now?
It is done through Elliott Management.
ECI.
Oh, dues and memberships?
Yep, dues and
Did we just
memberships.
talk about
Jamie said, I believe Jamie had said 100% user.
that? Yes. Thank you. An employee background check?
You feel like that should be 100% levy.
I could see it. I could see a shared cost in there.
It does.
Specifically because of the lifeguards.
Yes, and it does now, the employee background checks, that is where the fees that were charged for volunteer background checks is also going into there because it's that big source now.
Or could we table that one? Again? That's some percent. We agree on percent.
I think that makes the most sense because once Julie said that whole your background checks are run, I don't think we should be charging users for. Yeah, yes.
Okay.
This one your HVAC is better than your. Once a month, your HVAC system gets a little moody.
Well, hopefully once a month you're checking your maintenance on your HVAC system.
Sorry.
They replaced the filters, they replaced the, bearing.
Baron? Now, how wouldn't that be professional service?
It is.
It is all professional
We're in
services.
professional services.
I'm like, wait, what?
Take your pen and draw a line on 104. So
No.
what category we're in.
I should have gone through and highlighted.
No, this is why I hate P&Ls.
I would venture that is majority user and maybe a little bit levy.
I was gonna say it should be the same as 145, but we don't have a number for
Yeah,
145.
good idea come back to.
Do we want to come back to that? What's 145?
That's the maintenance. Which was the same reason we have to come back to the, roof preventative maintenance
Gotcha.
so that they can all match.
Yeah, we'll come back to that one to make it match those then.
IT service, can we match that to the computer?
I like it. I like it.
Look at us moving along.
Table 114 for the rest of them.
Yeah, to go with for maintenance.
What was the number for
No, we didn't come up with a number. We just talked about it and then,
Clover Valley maintenance? Landscape.
oh,
We put 100%.
yeah.
Well, maybe two.
Yeah, so do you think that,
Our users aren't gonna benefit from the landscaping.
yeah, I think only we do. Just attracting the users. Okay.
You could look.
And this was the comment you made about that going under intergovernmental, right?
Yes, which I have a note too.
Okay,
You know, we have to circle 93.
yeah, because now we're going to vehicle maintenance.
Sure, let's go on.
That would have, did we match it to Clover Valley?
So,
Minor purchase?
Yes.
which those were all, vehicle maintenance was all levy funded for Clover Valley.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, what?
Levy.
yeah, for Clover Valley, vehicle maintenance was all levy funded, which I would agree that our users don't really get any benefit.
Well, there's a small difference here.
Okay,
So for pool related things, and for day camp, the district vehicle gets used to transport kayaks. It's a little bit of use, but it is something that does more directly benefit a program, than anything that happens at Clover Valley.
So we're talking about the same truck. I can understand fuel expenses being separated out, maybe even minor repairs, but routine maintenance for both.
I think that, when Shane worked on the budget with me last year, that we did a 50-50 split for each item, just across the board for vehicle maintenance.
And that's more in line for one vehicle, about $1,000 a year in maintenance.
Well, and I mean, if you're looking at it, if it's benefiting the users, sending out a custodian to clean up Clover Valley
Does
Park
benefit
is
the user.
benefit of the user of Clover Valley Park.
Yeah, but we don't
You don't charge
charge
them.
users at Clover Valley Park, so I can't see justifying splitting that admin fee across different programs. Like, that is a service that should be levy provided, so anything that everything to do with Clover Valley Park should be levy funded. Because we don't charge anybody to use it, so. I don't think it was full pay for what we do.
When I said go up to 93, there was 3 other categories that are just in the line.
Yeah, it's totally fine. We'll just start it there at 94 and we'll just move to the other one. We're good. We were all taking up what you put down.
The fuel expense.
So with that caveat then of the day camp using,
And if there were to be a kayak program separate from day camp, it would be the same thing where they might utilize it.
I think all except for routine maintenance. I think routine maintenance should be like 50-50.
Over.
I think I'm backwards here. I think fuel expense should be 50-50 for. And then the other two should be 75, 25-75. Because I think
I'll take 20%. The users for benefiting one.
I think I was trying to justify it.
Written, I can cross it out.
Oh, boy.
Concession equipment.
Oh, wait. Wait a minute. Concession expense, doesn't that recoup?
Yeah, it's 100% user.
So are we gonna calculate that? We wouldn't calculate that in the program piece though.
No, it's kind of its own, you are correct.
So it makes its own.
Strike a line,
It's
I
just
think that's a
not,
strike
yeah,
line.
it doesn't go anywhere in the,
strike a line through it.
Neither one of those are gonna fund this.
yeah, same thing when we come to. I don't want to confuse us, but number 90, retail expense is gonna be the same story.
Just gonna strike a line at number 90 now.
Yep.
99, I was trying to match up with 172. And it's levy.
I think that makes sense.
So mine, government purchases other,
After all of these, what could possibly go?
I know. I feel like currently maybe the newspaper subscription went there.
That's less than $200 a year.
News Times and ain't the Seattle Times.
No, I know, but it's like,
I mean, ideally, I feel like that would get incorporated somewhere else and it would not exist.
can we,
I like that plan.
yeah, can we just like one line it out?
It's not gonna make a difference anyway. It's gonna make a 2-cent difference.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
the auditor, we can remove the amount, put the amount someplace else, but the auditor won't let us remove the line for.
For our purposes of deciding whether users are gonna fund it,
So then you're gonna wanna go up to 7.
76, right?
76 minor purchases, yeah.
Yeah.
Because JVMP is nothing, right?
Yeah, the JV, so these are minor purchases for
Or
JV.
JVMP.
76 and 77 are essentially the same line, but different, okay. It's the same line.
Is that a sandwich on the piano thing?
Yeah. Okay.
So 78 adult swim team equipment, that would essentially be items for masters.
100%. What would supply 100%? Aquatic equipment.
Users.
So aquatic equipment would be like the guard tower.
Guard tower, the basketball hoop. If you need a new ball for the ball swing.
50/50.
Nursery course equipment.
That's gonna be things like your mannequins,
We can bring them in.
so this is in here for when we have a staff member on site that can run those courses. This would not be, like, if we're bringing in our contractor, she has her own equipment she
And
brings.
if they, hold those classes, do they charge for them?
If it's our staff member?
Yeah.
So when it's our staff member holding them, we cover that training fee for our staff and our new hires. With a training agreement saying that they'll work with us for a year. We do also offer the option for people from the outside to be able to come in and pay to take the course.
Okay. How often do people?
Well, I guess the
What would be
right
the-
question is, do you have a staff member that,
The majority of it is us paying
Yeah,
to train staff.
I think I can think of 2 that have paid for it. We do not currently have a staff member that can. We have a couple of that are interested in getting that certification. And I think this is kind of one of those lines where, just so that we know for the future.
I think that would be a good community service. Right now, it's probably.
because once you buy the equipment, it's good for a certain amount of years, right? So
But if we would probably need to put a cost associated on the user funding side if we were to develop a program for that. That's what the cost, otherwise there's no cost to it.
Is that equipment used for like the babysitting class?
It can, yeah, it would be used for babysitting class, CPR first aid courses, lifeguard courses.
Was that?
100% user.
A user.
If we're gonna match it to 1.5.
I still think that there would be a community benefit, if we can get a staff member that can offer that training to the community, I would say that there's a benefit for the levy paying for a portion of the equipment. And then, I think course supplies should be 100% user.
It's the 25/10 at 581.
Yeah. I like that. Except for now that I'm thinking about it, these course supplies are for our staff, right? And if somebody from the street is coming in, they're purchasing the course supplies separately from.
When they pay their fee, it pays for everything that's
Got it.
included in the
Yeah.
class.
Okay, so that should be used for that. 25, 75.
For the cleaning and sanitation.
I think so.
So for students,
Users
yeah,
usually get it.
okay, so junior lifeguard supplies would be specific for if we offer a junior lifeguarding course. So I would think that would be 100% user because that's not something we're offering to staff.
And first aid, we said. User?
Yeah.
User.
This now.
What is this now? This equipment.
Yes.
Desks, computers, chairs.
Got computers already.
No, you did
No,
computer
that's
maintenance,
computer
that's what
maintenance,
it breaks. This is to outright purchase like that computer.
It's 50. It's
75, 25.
for levy.
Yeah, 75 levy, 25%.
Okay.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with that because I feel like we have it and we're great, so I feel like the levy that should be. Let's say the 80.
89.
85, or so line 88 is 75, 25 as well.
89.
Full chemical.
So I'm confused as to why it's in not in maintenance.
Mhm.
Yeah, maintenance is like sprinkled throughout.
Is this an audit request, like a,
This is the way it has been laid out for a decade. I don't
Minor
have,
purchases.
I do not have the
I think
historical,
it's such a big amount, they wanted to see it broke out.
maybe.
It is $33,000 in full chemicals, minor purchase,
Yeah.
Big shot.
I do know that in my experience with previous boards, like in professional services where there's the annual amount for the alarm and then there's the service calls for the alarm. Like it got delineated to that degree because previous boards wanted to know how many times a certain staff member was having to call for alarm issues.
Right,
So a lot of it is that layer of, that granularity that
yeah,
is maybe not necessary.
yeah.
I think it's fine to keep it broken out as a separate line item, but maybe put it under the 2048 instead of 2031.
Well, that's what I wondered, is because she has certain reporting she has to do as required by the state, and they give her the numbers that she has to put them under. So that's where I was wondering, is that one of those numbers that they're requiring you to put it under? Is that, because everywhere else that I've ever worked, it's been under maintenance.
And I honestly feel like it could be under maintenance. I'm not sure exactly why it was laid out this way. That software that Commissioner Craner mentioned earlier would help clean up a lot of this.
Yeah.
Could that 2048 be a subcategory of
Oh,
2031?
2031.
Listen to you guys using all the numbers.
I know.
On first rodeo.
Wasn't this something that was has been historically levy funded completely?
I want to say, well, it was built into the cost of a lane hour that got passed on to
Okay.
users
Okay.
at whatever percentage.
I mean, how many users do we have that don't pay to get?
For the pool?
We don't have any users that don't pay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we have an ILA with the school district, but we're
But they're
paying,
still paying to get in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're using their facilities.
We don't all spectators. We don't.
There are,
No, if they go on deck, they pay.
not during swim meets though, and not during lesson.
But it's not
I
technically
mean,
our
other
facility.
than hiding them from the chlorine.
Yeah.
gas, you know.
They're not, yeah, they're not,
You all eat there?
So
Yeah,
with the pool chemicals, I would say that there are certain chemical requirements that we are required to maintain, whether the pool is open to the public or not,
So do you think that that's maybe like a 25, 75?
maybe.
And then you can still say that it's for chemicals.
Yeah,
Or.
with school supplies, I'd say that's user.
Yes, for residents.
That's supplies for lessons, yeah. Little rubber ducky.
It was a book on swim safety. It was famous, they gave us a book on swim safety that I kept on the deck and they, reviewed when we got home. That was like 10 years ago at Fidalgo, so
Was it the Red Cross, like, little follow along for their levels?
I think so,
Yeah.
something like that, yeah. Are we on personnel benefits then?
Cell phone?
That is cell phone reimbursement, for the executive director, maintenance director, or recreation manager when we have one, and business manager.
I was actually thinking of all three of those.
For the awards and the uniforms?
Take a look at taxi.
Should be all user. Just kidding.
50.
Yeah.
I heard two yeses, so I wrote it
Yeah.
down.
Okay,
Wait, where are we at?
hold on.
Hold on.
We're under vacation now,
Oh,
so
vacation.
64.
Wait, payroll.
So all these,
All these are still benefits, so we actually probably should have started at 52, payroll benefits.
Let's start there.
We currently aren't paying anything in retirement of that. We are.
But before you start on 52, I'm wondering for those, because those positions or those amounts all relate to positions that in the definition of services, you had anticipated having 100% levy covered. So if the position is 100% levy covered, those benefits, I would think would be as well.
100% levy covered, yeah.
but it wasn't all of them, was it? I don't think it was.
It
You
was.
left the recreation manager out.
So that was one of my questions because it had said administrative staff. And then further in that document, there was specific, there was something specific about not including the rec coordinator in the expense. That got passed on to the user.
My thought, when I say administrative staff, is I'm thinking the executive director and the business manager.
I was thinking front desk staff that would be necessary while the program is ongoing.
Yeah, I would think that, I'm more inclined to think that admin staff are the people on site that are making it running.
So it might make sense to start with line 24, which is the director position, and go down there for what you anticipate being levy funded or user funded. And then that'll help us solve the benefit lines on the next page.
Because we can just copy all the things all the way. I like. Yeah. Really easy.
Yeah,
Those are all,
We can do that too.
those are all user funded.
okay, so 1 through 8, sorry, 2 through 8 is all user funded?
Yeah, except for 5. That is not.
It will though,
Okay.
because it's gonna be a program and I still think that it needs to be user funded.
Salary and wage for basketball. That for staff.
Yeah, so it separates in this next section. The salary and wages segregation.
No,
You
you play the basketball?
Like actual
The
basketball.
staff, basketball, that's user. They camp should also be users.
You can just keep that line going.
But yeah, the only one in there to question would be that recreation coordinator, if we're fully passing that to the user through those programs. Okay.
I think about moving all the recreation coordinators and anything that is developing. Yeah.
Okay.
My thought.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
No, I think you're right. I think anybody at the executive level should be like levy funded, right? Because we want that to be there. Anything below that should be,
Lines, well, 10 through 21 is what I had in mind when I was thinking admin. Cost of admin.
yeah, same.
As levy funded?
No,
Or
as user.
User funded, okay.
Yeah, because those are like the admin folks, you know, those folks that have to be on the ground in order for the program to work with. Our executive staff don't have to be there, right? They just have to manage the day to day. And I feel like those folks are levy funded. And any of our program folks are user funded.
And where would you put recreation manager in that?
The recreation manager also oversees the pool staff generally. I don't know if you were aware of that.
But
But if they're overseeing the pool and the pool is completely funded by revenue-based programs,
then that's user funded.
I just wanted to make sure that you guys were.
I wasn't, but thank you.
So Julie.
Yeah.
Under 9 and under 23. Like the aerobics instructor, why would that be under,
Aerobics instructor is line 31,
right, why wouldn't that be under 9?
because it's a water aerobics thing. So,
It's only aerobics in the water.
yeah,
Right, the basketball instructor is only basketball.
These
So-
are delineated by rec programs and then pool programs.
So that line 31 was there before we had recreation programs.
and then, Commissioner Crainer, I know you had said that you had thought like the client service specialist would fall under levy funded. But are we now reversing that to user funded?
We're gonna talk about,
I think it should be,
I'd say 27 and 28 both, probably the same conversation piece there.
I can see a split, but I don't think it's a big split. I think it's gonna be mostly user funded because they're interacting with the people that pay the bill or people that pay the game.
under 24 through 35. I have 24, 26, and 29 as levy, everything else is. Just because they're doing direct contact
Yeah.
versus those three would be.
You said
Fine.
24, 26, and who?
29 would be levy, everything else is user.
and then 45.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the director of maintenance, yeah.
And the rest would be.
So I think the question is how, like, do we want to see a split of the levy funds in kind of the mid-level management positions?
So historically, the rec manager has fallen under the administration because they're also salary personnel. So if we change that, does that mean we want to change that classification from exempt to non-exempt?
We do 50/50.
It's really up to you. I just want you to know that it's just bigger than just saying, oh, user versus this, because now we're changing the structure of what we call administration.
Right.
No, when I see your appointment control, they oversee that big department.
Yeah.
Administration, two different ways.
Yeah, I prefer to call it like executive and admin, right? So our executive team is all of the managers and all of our admin or program staff those are non-exempt folks that are hourly
Your rec manager needs to be levy.
executive, yeah.
It's probably a good offset. Anyways.
You were increasing your program fees a lot based on previous calculations by moving it to have to be fully user covered.
Yeah. So anything here with manager is 100% levy. And I think that the director of maintenance counts as any manager.
What do you do with the,
Yeah.
49? Is that?
I think that 49 and the client services folks are the same conversation.
The user,
I think that you're onto something with it being split.
because they're kind of like below admin, but they also do.
They're that middle management, yeah.
So that would be 49 and what else?
27 and 28.
I would be comfortable with. Just because they are kind of behind the scenes, but also.
I agree. Take writings, that's okay then.
I already crossed out once.
So 27, 28, and 49. 27,
And I'm also asking for 46.
So
Also, what shutdown mean?
46 and 47, 46 is janitorial at the pool. 47 is janitorial at Clover Valley. Shutdown maintenance is additional staff that gets brought in, when we have a facility shutdown, like when the pool got drained and scrubbed and touched up. That type of activity.
I think 50/50 for shutdown maintenance. And I could justify 50/50 for the other two as well now.
so 46, 47, 48, 49.
And then 42 through 44, is that all user funded?
And 51.
Yeah, 50, 51. So going with our statement about managers and directors. And 54. 68 kind of answers that, right?
Can we go back to 40,
40 training for swim
40, 41, 42, and 44? Is that all user funded? Okay.
Only one that really becomes a question on the whole rest of the page is 62, the sick pay for part-time staff. Because you have a few positions that you did do 50/50 split on that would be entitled. I'm thinking like
And
maybe
that's required
2080.
by. The part-time sick is required by Washington State.
Yeah.
You said 2080 would do it?
Keep it 50/50?
You would recommend 2080.
Yeah, I mean, I could try and do an exact breakdown of what it should be, but since most of the positions are completely user funded, you just have 5, 6 positions that are 50/50 split. And they are not necessarily your highest dollar positions.
About 60/40 when you need a little.
Well, what is it right now?
I
28?
really liked the, yeah, it should be 40/60.
Is it? I don't know what we're doing. I thought we were doing 80/20 a minute ago.
No, it was
No, I thought it was 28.
Oh, 2080.
Yeah, 50% levy and then 80% user.
28 is what I have.
Yeah, I like 2080, like, we can have a little bit of it, but like, you know, I think the burden should be paid for by like those users.
It goes back to our employee background. 900 is that 1100, that's number 111.
So I don't have anything for 29 through 39.
In front,
Yeah,
Oh, I thought
I
it
mean,
was all,
everything else, so 30 to 39, I like user funded, but this admin assistant,
That's,
but
that's
Right.
fine.
cool. That's where I was landing on that, but I just didn't have anything written down because I don't remember any discussion. But
I think it was a very quick,
that's because they are kind of, they're behind the scenes.
okay. Wait,
Are you missing any numbers
writing.
from page 1?
Huh?
Are you missing any numbers from page 1?
I don't think so anymore.
So 111 is employee background.
That's for your hourly staff, right? Or the
that's
correct
for all staff and anybody that volunteers to go direct.
2080?
Did you do the background on that? Well,
So wait a minute,
No,
you said volunteered for what? Do you say that again?
the record programs like it was.
So, but we billed the cost of the volunteer
Our
into
executive staff-
the program, so it could be,
That's our Junior staff.
1090 then?
but could-
10% for the
but
executive.
she's saying,
Or we could do
It-
15,
well,
85.
those are for recreation programs, all costs are
Oh, it's
100%
fixed up.
user.
This would be the
So
first 15.
that's why it would be all levy, because the rec program,
No, they've got 20% levy.
so it's not.
2080. 1981. Oh, that.
Maybe we just remember the word employee.
I think so too.
Well, let's go.
I think so too. Background checks.
Oh,
I think now we're down to just maintenance.
Okay.
We have
Hold on.
I don't know what happened over there.
payroll, 116.
Oh, yes.
We never got a number for that.
So to back up and, because you guys were discussing while David was arguing our employee background checks.
Oh, that's what we were talking about.
Okay.
Talking differently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Different conversations.
He thinks the burden should be more on the users than the 2080.
So for the that's what we were just talking about, the recreation program, that's 100% funded by those, for those volunteers. So
Uh-huh.
just so you know that, we already do that, that's already the practice.
I know.
But
But if we're matching their background checks with the employee salaries and what we're funding there, I think that we're gonna spend a lot less money on our executive staff because you guys don't turn over as frequently as the other staff.
So we need to be more.
So
So he was thinking,
she's thinking 1981. I'm thinking 15.
Phoenix 5.
and I said 1090.
I like 1090.
I'm gonna get that in here somewhere.
I'm writing 1090 with my permanent pencil.
Okay, no more meetings on holidays.
That's. You think that's the reason?
no.
And
Did
then
we ever
last it.
decide 75? Line 75 is total, oh, sorry, that just deserves a whole line.
It's I missed taking it
Yeah,
out.
no, that's fine.
One,
Payroll processing.
116.
What were you on? I'm sorry.
116 payroll process.
Oh, yeah, never mind, we're not here to make any decisions. 2575, is that what you said?
I just threw it out there.
Well, I mean, if most of your,
Julia's like, you know, killing it. She's like the math on 19 and then 81%.
So I'm gonna pull up the calculator and it will help me.
Yeah.
Just put the number in and let Excel do it all for you.
Right.
Get a
Yeah,
total and then
exactly.
divide it by the number of hours.
Yeah,
That's how much our lane cost is.
I think payroll processing needs to be.
I think that's what I started to write for.
Yeah. Because like we're doing it anyways.
What did we write down for payroll taxes? I'm trying to find it and I can't find it.
And I think 50/50, which
I guess that
might need to adjust.
all I think.
70. payroll taxes?
Yeah, you said 50/50, but I feel like that probably needs to adjust.
I think
1981.
Yeah, you said that.
70 and 116 should really.
So do you think 30/70? Or do you think 70/30? Like, or which direction should we skew? More levy or more user?
I'd say maybe 40/60.
Okay.
You have fewer positions on the levy funded side, but they are higher dollar amount.
Okay,
40, 60
on both?
70 and 1.
On payroll taxes on 70.
40, 60.
And then I would think that, yeah, payroll processing should be the same,
40.
should have that same proportion.
Yeah, and so payroll processing will vary, based on how many people we have on staff as well.
Right.
Having more of it go, to the user.
All right. That's the,
HVAC. Roof and general 145.
let's see,
Wait, what did we
How?
for chemicals?
we didn't say anything because we were gonna come back to maintenance. I think the best approach would be to kind of think of the portion of programs that have something to do directly related to the pool, because that's where most of our user generated, no, just kidding. Let's think of how many programs that we have that are pointed to like community members, right? So like the Clover Valley Dog Park is free to get to. Okay,
Service.
yes, that's the definition, that's the term I'm looking for, just kidding. So how many services do we have in direct, what's our proportion of services to like programs? So is that 1585? Is that 1981?
1981.
Is it a 2080, you think? Because I think that all of the maintenance is going to directly,
It's a maintenance and operation.
Well, 89, we have, what kind of 25 cents? Meaning that one user. Levy.
I mean, you have a good point there, Brett. If it's a maintenance and operations levy, then why aren't we spending all of our levy dollars maintaining and operating?
Cars pays are kept.
No, I
No,
agree with
I-
it, 'cause
I-
if we're gonna be, yes.
True.
Spending it.
Yeah. So I do think that under maintenance, we should probably take a majority. Okay, thank you. Oh, did one more.
Are you leaning towards like,
No, I'm good.
I mean, you're on the levy?
So do we want to do like a 60/40?
For all three of those, yeah. And then 59, do we switch it back to 60/40 for the 25 cents?
I'm looking over here, like you want to say something, and I really want to let you say the things that you're trying to say.
I appreciate that, but I don't think I want to.
I think I really want to do that.
Sure. What did you say?
All right, so
Take a 5-minute
89.
reset.
the two of us,
112, 119, and 145. These are all the four.
And what was the recommendation to switch them to 75?
no, switch them to 60/40.
60 on levy.
Yeah, and then 40 on user.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry, what were the numbers again?
112, 119, and 145.
And then take the chemicals back to 60/40 as well.
Which is 89.
Okay. So what about capital expenses? Is that also the 60/40?
I thought we had that as 100% levy.
Yeah, that's 100%.
It's 1.5, we wanted to do 60.
Well, in theory, what we would do is take that number. And we don't really care about, well, we do care about the levy funded amount, but we care more about the user funded amount. Take that number, apply it to the 100%, then take that number and give a total at the bottom for user funding. And then we divide that by
Operating hours.
operating hours to get a hourly rate. And then if we're talking about a lane fee, then we would divide that by 6.
Because it's on the lanes fee.
And then we would have to apply a different calculation to recreation programs, but basically by operating hour.
Yeah.
We need to get an operating hour fee first, and then we can take that down to a lane fee also. We need to let Excel do all the work.
Oh, it will.
And then we put it in writing so that we know what's being paid for and how it's calculated. So that we can explain it. It makes sense. But we'll probably, I'm guessing we might need to tweak this a little bit after it's all calculated. $150.
That's so reasonable.
Wrong. We take a 5-minute recess.
Let's do that.
All right, 5-minute recess starting at 8:22 PM to return at 8:27.
Stop recording. You can just mute it. That's what I do in all my other meetings. I turn off the camera and I mute it.
Yes, I have a glare, so I can't see it.
Oh,
Next time.
it's the next one over. So just
Right.
turn off the camera.
gotcha.
Is that one like Sharon?
It's okay.
I could record it.
Right. Moving on to budget adjustments. Oh, call this special meeting of Board of Commissioners back over at 8:29 PM. Adjustments. Oh. Good question.
So all of the, this is pretty similar as far as format and notations to what I went over with Commissioner Whitmer and Commissioner Crainer in program committee or in budget review committee previously. I did update it with numbers for the actual proposed adjustments based on that conversation at that time. And then I was able to update the overall P and L in advance of doing that through the end of August. So it has fairly close to year-to-date numbers in here. I did update volleyball expense for supplies and equipment and wages since this went out. I also added a little bit to concession expense, which I'm trying to remember what line number that is. But otherwise, everything should be the same as what you guys received via email. The adjustments are based on year-to-date performance on things. Things for like American Red Cross courses were completely removed because we don't have an instructor to teach those anymore. Pickleball and kayak programs did not happen because of instructor availability, so those were zeroed out. Rec manager, rec coordinator were reduced down to year to date because we will not fill those this year, that type of thing.
Why would we not know if or when we will receive the second levy distribution?
So we will receive it at the end of October, the end of this month.
For sure will.
Yes,
Okay,
we get the treasurer's report somewhere between the 10th and 12th is when it's been coming in. That will tell us in November, that will tell us the exact amount. We could estimate what that amount would be, but because it's all based on who pays their property taxes when, we can't have a definitive number.
I was reading it as, and we may not receive a distribution.
No, and the reason I have that it will correct itself is because right now it's showing about 57%. Where typically, based on the end of August numbers, you would think things would be at 66% if everything were linear.
I was reading it as one note. It was for the timber.
Oh, gotcha. It's because it's like microprint.
It's really not.
We're just so used to making it big.
Well, when I get the stage and whatever, that I have to take the glasses off to see it better, so.
So we're at.
It's all a little negative. Big negative.
What's the big?
Little negative.
Huh?
The last number,
What number are you on?
the last page, last number, last page.
Number two, line 293 is what he.
That's what we're worried about.
No, because we haven't gotten our last levy distribution. Typically, that's around 300,000, typically. But again, like you said, like was it January of this year? January, December, we thought that we were gonna see a levy distribution of over 100,000 and we only saw like much less. So it just depends on when, who pays and how much they pay. But historically, over the last couple of years, it's been about 300,000.
Okay. But the budget amount, okay, so I'm not so much concerned about the January through August, but the budget amount being negative 260. $61,000 includes the. For the last.
So the original budget amount being negative 261, when the budget was adopted for 2024, the plan had been to pull out of reserve, so we had a carryover amount, from what we had left at the end of last year, plus pulling from reserve. So that was that 261 would be pulling that, to make that balance. The proposed adjustment does not take that into consideration at all, and I think that's due to being really, really careful with our spending this year.
Mhm.
And then some of those cost savings as positions have been vacated and not filled.
You know, I'm sorry, I didn't read correctly the proposed adjustment. I didn't realize that was a total line. I thought that was an adjustment to the line previous. I realized it's a new line. So that alludes to a positive 43,
Yes,
correct?
if everything goes according to plan the rest of the year, yes.
Yeah, we're sitting very well right now.
Yeah, I just didn't read it correctly. Okay, budget number negative 261. Sounds pretty bad.
Well, and we didn't want to just pull out of the reserve until we need to pull out of the reserve, right? So,
And to clarify, you haven't done that, right? Okay.
You will see sizable reductions, I would say, in expected revenue for water aerobics, swim lessons. Those are really the two big ones for programs that are actively running. The biggest reason for the water aerobics isn't so much a decline in attendance or anything like that. The plan that the previous rec manager had was to add an extra class that did not happen. She had also calculated everything based on maximum participation, which we know doesn't always happen. Swim lessons. It's been an interesting year and we are still evaluating internally to see how much the fee change may be impacting. The actual dollar amount is increased this year over last year. Jay looked it up earlier. I'm not sure what the exact amount of increase was. But I think the number of participants
yeah, so
may be lower.
you're saying we're doing what I was talking about earlier,
Yes.
that we're year to date, if you compare last year's year to date to this year's for swim lessons, we're actually doing better than we were this time last year. And
And
I took that out of the P and L number.
And again, I think it's a situation where the previous rec manager calculated those with maximum participation and maximum number of classes offered. And neither of those have happened. So that was adjusted accordingly to make that reflect more accurately where we're actually at. Day camp is another one that was reduced down to match actual utilization.
So for
What line item
instance,
Day camp is line 50.
so for instance, last year at this time, we were, for swim lessons, we were at 94,400. For
But that doesn't actually allude to more people though.
I don't believe it will because of the fee increase. I have not quite finished updating the participation before that. To calculate the summer numbers in there.
So total fees, if you compare it, year to date, so it would be line 41 on yours. If you compare them to last year's P and L at this time, we had in fees, $221,093.15. Currently, we're sitting at $297,309.27.
Things that increase, there was some minor changes in rentals between open swim parties line 58 and line 60 for private rentals. BHBC, the swim team on line 55, I did bump that up to 20,000 based on what they have now paid year to date, plus anticipating 3 months remaining in the year. They've kind of changed their utilization as their team has grown some. And when we put the budget together for this year, there had been a thought process that we might be closed for maintenance for most of December. So we did not factor in any revenue from them for December due to that.
The BHP, the NY.
Yes, the Heron Booster Club. On the expense side, you'll see a lot of reductions for things that we ended up not needing as much. On line 83 for the NFL flag football is one of those. Day camp is a big one that we were able to reduce down. So that starts lines 87 through 90 for their staff costs. And then 101 is their day camp expense for their materials, supplies, equipment. That one had been budgeted 95,000 and we reduced that down to 2,100. They did a very, very good job of doing low cost, no cost activities, and the kids still had a great time.
Or that 95,000 though was like field trips and which take a lot of fuel.
There's some minor adjustments in staff expenses, unrelated to staff leaving. It's all notated there. In the overall expenses, big things, legal is one that needs a sizable increase. There's just a lot more utilization than we had anticipated. There is also an adjustment, the line number 245 for the audit, there was some additional hours necessary there, and they had not given us a solid estimate of what that would look like at the time that we had to complete the budget last year. Refunds is another one that has a sizable increase. 262 is where it totals out. A lot of that is due to programs that did not meet the threshold to be able to run successfully. And then we have to process those refunds through the county, like Jay was explaining earlier.
Open for discussion?
The programs that have decreased as far as the budget goes. For the last 3 months of the year, fiscal year.
Can you give me line item numbers?
So number 31 and 38. I know we addressed water aerobics by stopping Saturday. And then adding the Monday to Friday. Has that increased anything? As far as participation?
No, not, I mean,
I think that each of the classes have been better attended than the average number was for the Saturday class. It'll take a little while for it to catch on, I think.
for the 8 a.m. class.
Yeah,
I think what we've seen more of is that the 9 a.m. isn't as packed as it is because some of them moved there versus seeing a lot of brand new people. We have seen, I think, 3 or 4 new people join the 8 a.m., but not a huge number yet.
And then the master students with a decrease of 31%. And then they would was 13,500.
I can't hear you.
Number 38. So I believe in the program committee that we aren't gonna touch this until February,
correct.
but is that something that we're gonna continue having a deficit on to finish off the year? Or is there?
I believe you will.
Yeah, if I just don't see more people joining between now and the end of the year.
And that is one item that, if you look, so I had to decrease the overall projected revenue for that based on utilization so far. And I actually had to increase, for the swim coach, which I'm looking for the line. 138. So that one I had to increase to cover what we anticipate for needing for the rest of the year.
I did ask her if she planned to do early mornings earlier than when we open, and she doesn't have any plans now to open earlier than she would be.
Just 6, right?
Comments for 58, 59, 60. But party results. Is there any plan to increase advertisement?
We have put some increased marketing out, and I will be working with our new client services coordinator to follow up with families that booked last year in this time frame, see if they're interested in booking again. Typically, we see those party rentals kind of die off in the summer when the weather's nice, and then when we get more toward fall, they increase again. Overall, I feel like we've seen less utilization, and I would need to verify this number, but I feel like utilization for the facility rental has decreased some. And we have more people wanting to do it during the open swim.
I want to be careful when we're talking about projected versus deficit. So we can go into a program saying this is what we anticipate recouping, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's operating at a deficit.
And with the current budget, the formula, that's why it is, so that's why we need to. Yeah.
Any other question? If we can get a motion to amend,
Okay.
Motions to amend the budget as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any action items?
I will work on plugging this in to Excel to see where it shakes out, and I will run some test program sheets with the new parameters for the regular meeting.
I'm good. Any comments?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting of NWPPRD Board of Commissioners, adjourned at 8:55 PM.